Hello, everyone, and welcome to another session of NAUI Talk. Today, we have a very special edition where we're going to learn more about the NAUI election process. Members of our election committee are going to put on a little skit today and dazzle you with their acting. Without further ado, I'm going to pass this over for introductions to Hannah and Hannah Lee.
Ladies and gentlemen, please sit back, relax, grab your popcorn, and join the election committee for a few minutes to entertain you with our superb acting skills, to give you some insight into the election process, how any passionate and qualified NAUI member can apply to become a NAUI director, the roles and responsibilities of being a NAUI director, and how this may impact your life as well as the lives of members across the globe.
Hey, Jim, haven't seen you in a while. How are things going?
Tim, good talking to you. It's going really, really well. Thanks for asking. I had a big group of students in the pool last week, and now we're in the middle of doing all of their checkout dives.
That's wonderful news, Jim. You have such a good business model and doing exceptionally well during COVID. You should consider running for the NAUI Board of Directors. I think you have values, experience you can bring to the organization.
Tim, thanks for those kind words. You actually must be a mind reader. I was thinking about it and seeing that I'm not only a NAUI instructor for a few years now, I also have a degree in marketing and a little bit of experience in the corporate world.
Well, you are the ideal candidate. How does one apply for the election?
I got to admit, I'm not entirely sure about that, but I just found out that there's someone who can help us. My good friend Jeff is the chairman of the election committee. Let's give him a call and find out.
Let's do it.
Tring, 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 tring.
Hi, Jim. Nice to hear from you.
Hey, Jeff, how are you doing?
I'm well. How about yourself?
Very good. I've got Tim on the line with us, and we're wondering about the election application process. Do you have time to answer a few questions?
Of course. Hi, Tim. How you been?
Hey, Jeff. So Jim is considered running for the Board of Directors. Can you give us a quick overview of the steps involved to apply?
Anytime, guys. Your first step would be to go to the NAUI website and log in to your core account. Navigate to the member resources, and that tab is located on your left-hand side. Click on the Board of Directors elections. Here you'll find the 2021 folder. Open that. In there you'll find the packet, the nomination packet. There are 4 downloadable PDF files. Download all the files and make sure you read them carefully and thoroughly. On page 39 of the 2021 election SOP and app document, you'll find the application form and all other relevant documents. Once you've completed all the relevant documents, you can send your application to election@naui.org before July 5th, whereafter you will receive a notification of receipt from the election coordinator. Does that answer your question, Jim?
Jeff, yes, it does. Thank you very much.
So Jeff, what are the prerequisites for applying to be a board member?
Everything you need to know about the election is in the election SOP. But let me give you a quick answer to that. If you can speak English, are an active or sustaining instructor member of NAUI for the past 3 years, and in good standing with the association, you're almost there. You should also have experience and expertise in one or more of the core skills required and teaches and trains only NAUI programs.
I'm kind of getting excited about this now. I think I meet all the criteria, but is that really all that's needed to become a decision influencer? After all, NAUI is a very large global organization.
Legally, yes, but on a more practical level, you should be aware that being on the board is much bigger than that.
Are you talking about responsibilities of a board member, Jeff?
Yes, and also an attitude that promotes good and ethical leadership.
Let me see if I understand you correctly. A director should always put the well-being and interest of the membership before his own.
Being a good leader is about selflessness. Being a leader is a lifestyle decision. It means you're willing to take care of others and committing yourself to help people and not hurt people.
A leader should have empathy because kindness begets kindness.
I agree. Real leadership is not about rank. It's not about being in charge, but taking care of those that are in our charge.
Excellent point, Jim. Leadership comes with great sacrifice. That means that when things go right, you'll be giving away all the credit. But when things go wrong, you get to take the responsibility. That takes a lot of courage.
But why do people then want to be on the board of directors?
Tim, I think that's an excellent question. I think the same reason Martin Luther King said that I have a dream. All human beings seem to have this innate desire to feel that our lives have value. We want to be part of something that's bigger than ourselves. It's about having a purpose, a vision, and working towards that common purpose with trust and cooperation to provide the members of this organization with support, a feeling of safety and protection, a feeling of pride in what we are achieving as an organization because they are a part of it.
Very well said, Jim.
Thank you so much, guys, for the insightful conversation. You have inspired me so much, and now I'm thinking about running for the election too. I would love to be able to make a positive difference in NAUI.
Brilliant.
Take care, everyone. I'll be checking my inbox for those applications.
Without further ado, I'm going to start reading the questions as they come in and go from there. The first question I have is, what is the term for a director?
The standard term is 1 4-year term. The director can serve 2 consecutive terms, 4 years each, and they can also serve 1 other year as an appointed person. They can do a total of 9 years, but the other key point there is 2 elected terms. There could be a time when a director retires or steps away and leaves a year or 2 of their term. Another member may be elected to that term, but that, even though it may only be 1 year or 2 years, it's still considered an elected term and would count towards that.
This person was asking about, does the whole board change every year? Because they noticed there's only a couple positions that open every year.
It does not change every year. Every year there'll be 2 open positions, except for this year we have 3 open positions. And it'll depend on if there's an incumbent running or not. If the incumbents are elected, there may be no changeover. If 2 new people are elected, then we'll have 2 fresh faces.
As far as the representation, when we look at NAUI worldwide, are the board of directors represented throughout the world? So the answer to that one is yes. For instance, Hannah Lee, where are you sitting right now?
I'm in South Africa.
I think sometimes from my position in marketing, people ask me questions like that. And I think it's very important that we let them know that people are from everywhere, not just from one spot. And we do have board of directors that are worldwide. One person felt that they have a great choice from the board of directors, but they did notice that the board of directors is quite visible. They're basically talking about the visibility of the board of directors and the activities that they're doing.
Now, obviously, the board is very active and visible. Board members are encouraged to be certainly at any trade shows or any NAUI functions that are out there, and they typically will also in their home regions be available for NAUI members. They also have access via their emails, and I've always found the board of directors to be pretty responsive if you reach out to the board of directors. Also, typically are also on the NAUI committees. So here we have Hannah on this committee and other board members taking over the training committee, awards committee, etc. There's a lot of work that the board of directors puts in. I often akin it to a full part-time job. You're putting in 30 hours a month, if not a lot more.
I can maybe add to that. I think during COVID, we had a lot of challenges. DEMA did not happen. There's a lot of stuff that did not happen for the last year and a half, maybe even 2 years, that had an impact on, I think, visibility and the perception of members worldwide. We are also very strategic in what we are doing. So you don't always see what the committees are doing because those things are behind the scenes. All the awards that are being given out, that goes through committees, and board members are involved in all of those things. So I think visibility from the perspective of a member is not always to see the board on a webinar or on a stage or a platform, but it's what they do behind the scenes. And it's exactly what you've just said, is running an organization is not standing on a stage. It is like making decisions in the best interest of the members. And people don't always see that, although there's a lot of hard work that goes into it.
Yeah, I think it answered the next one too about time requirements. And I do understand, depending on the board of director, how much involvement, there's some flexibility on the minimums and maximums. But could you comment on the various board of director committees and how that affects them, people with time, being some would be more time committed than others. Some might be seasonal or calendar based versus others.
Sure. There are a number of committees. There's what we call the standing committees. So these are your awards, elections, bylaw committees, membership, planning, finance, training committee. How can I forget the training committee?
And technology.
Biggest one.
And now we have our technology committee. So those are our standing committees. They're all staffed by volunteers. There'll be a board member on each committee. Each committee also has a chairperson. And again, depending on the committee and the time of year, the election committee, we have hot times and cool times. Right now, we're ramping up to one of our active periods. But also in committees will often have subcommittees. So, an example, in your training committee, you have the leadership committee, recreational committee, technical committee. And then you may have ad hoc committees, again, all of us by the board, where they'll put together for a specific project. A couple of years ago, we had a leadership ad hoc committee that stepped in to help out the training committee. And these, again, can be a big time workload. And I have found them, this is my 4th year as the election committee chair. I think I spent 3 to 4 years on the election committee beforehand. I find committee work extremely rewarding. It's a way to give back to all those NAUI members that contributed to me, especially when I was a young diver and instructor, and a way to contribute to NAUI. Like I said, I find it very rewarding in that respect.
I chaired the membership committee, planning committee, and now I'm involved in the election committee. Those committees were like on a monthly basis we met. So it's kind of less work, but more frequent. The election committee and I think the awards committee also would be like a lot of work for a certain time of the year, especially when the elections are coming up and when the awards are coming up. So depending on which committee you are, it does differ. But yeah, it's a lot of time and a lot of effort, but it's amazing to serve people and try to do good for the organization. And then one other committee I just have to mention is the Next Generation Committee, which I'm so excited about, that is currently busy with wonderful programs for younger people and to acquire younger people in the organization. So we're really excited about that.
Just kind of a personal note, about 5 or 6 years ago, NAUI was really going through a lot of changes. I'm sure we remember that. And it was kind of exciting, but it was a little bit scary at the same time. So I kind of thought, maybe I need to get involved. Maybe I need to find out what it takes to run for the board. And so as I was talking to my regional rep about that, he very wisely told me that if you really want to get involved and make a difference and find out if you have what it takes to run for the board, he said, get involved in a committee. And it was the best advice I think anybody had ever given me. And I think this is my 4th year on the membership committee. And I think if I had somehow run for the board of directors and got elected, I'm not sure to what extent I really could make an intelligent contribution because I didn't have a good experiential understanding of how the committees work, and has made all the difference in the world for me.
That really is a great point, because I too ran for the board back in 2012. And whilst I really thought I knew what was going on, thank goodness I did not get elected. After 8 years of contributing on committees, I think maybe I might have something that could really benefit. I'm not running for the board by any means, but it just shows after 8 years of working on committees, the amount of knowledge and wisdom I've gained over the years has just been immeasurable. When you serve on committees, the board also gets to know you a little bit. You get to know the board, you get to know how things work, and contribute. So it really is, matter of fact, we consider it a requirement on the election committee to be a part of the NAUI committee. To be on the ballot.
Got a question that came in by email. This particular one was talking about the process of the NAUI board to the NAUI committees to the NSG group, which is NAUI services group. The NAUI board of directors is elected by the members. They have committees that look into activities, and based on those activities, they provide guiding and steering towards the NAUI services group, which our president then would pass to the different departments. Me in particular in marketing would take direction and long-term goals coming through the marketing, and other committees planning committee, another thing at NAUI's board of directors level. So it sort of filters down from there, and there's a process where I learn.
That's fairly accurate. Yeah, I mean, the committees is where the work happens. We're the ones out in the trenches putting, and the committees also are given guidance by the board. You may be on the training committee, and we're looking, and the board is looking at, well, we need you to look at leadership or the technical standards. So they'll be focused in on a specific task for the year. They'll do the research, field research, et cetera, give that information back up to the board. Then as a team, board committees, and then the board and committees would reach out to, say, the training department at HQ and bring it all together. It's a team effort.
Since there's this is a representative-based type organization, member-driven, how do we know that the elected representatives on the board, that how their performance level are, so we know when a new election comes whether we should support them in the next cycle or not?
I don't think we really have a good set of tools there, except for people have to be engaged, pay attention to reading everything that's coming out in the NAUI blogs, the NAUI talks, with the NAUI AGM, and they have to reach out to these board members and see what's going on. Very important when in the election cycle, we seem to always be in one phase of it or another. We're currently in the nomination phase, but when we come to the campaigning phase, it's critical that NAUI members reach out to these candidates and ask those questions. And it might be, hey, what did you do in your 4 years when you're on the board? What did you accomplish? What committees were you on?
Yeah, I think communication is something that's always to be improved on. Absolutely. With regards to different committees, what do you say to those members that have applied for committees in the past years and would like to be involved? They didn't get selected, or I mean, the ones that get selected know they're not a committee, but if they don't get selected, is there a process that is in place that we have, or perhaps one that we can implement to let people know the process and who's on committees and who's not?
One of the documents that you would download from the election folder is called the roles and responsibilities of the directors. And in there, it lists out specific tasks for the chairperson, the vice chairperson, the secretary, treasurer, etc. Under the chairperson's responsibilities, they are supposed to get published. At the beginning of the year, the chairperson seats the committee chairs. The committee chairs, we get the list of all those who are interested in our respective committees. The election, number of people interested in the election committee is usually kind of small, but easy to find there, because everybody wants to be on the training committee. That's the sexy one. Then we reach out to the people who has some skills, who's got the availability, who has the time to be on our committees, and committees get set. We then let HQ know, the chairperson know, et cetera, who we've selected, so they can then inform the people who did not get chosen, hey, sorry, you didn't get picked, but we really appreciate your time and your efforts. Please, we'll keep your resume on file and also keep in touch. So now you have the election committee chairs availability. So maybe you really do have a passion. You reach out to the election chair and I can keep you on file. Somebody may drop off a committee, we can add you in, or perhaps have you on as a guest to get you some experience. So reach out to the committee chairs in that respect. But there's something close to 100 and so many committee members this time around. So we are pretty good at accepting the volunteer workload and spreading it out. And it's very rare that we have a person on more than one committee anymore. I remember back in 5-6 years ago, I was on 3 different committees, and it was the same group of people. So we could have the membership committee and the bylaws committee on this meeting on the same call. You just change the chairperson around, but that does not happen anymore with our new process. And again, the process is only 2 years old. It is improving, and it can stand to use a little bit more polish. And we're working hard to do that and take advantage of all the incredible members that are willing to give their time.
I just thought maybe I'd add this to it, particularly if there's anybody listening who maybe has tried several times to get on a committee and has not been successful. Let me say to you, do not give up. Do not get discouraged. Get on the telephone, start reaching out to your regional reps, make sure they understand who you are and what you're interested in doing. and talk to committee chairmen and let them know that you really, really want to be part of it. And I believe that you'll eventually find yourself on a committee. So don't get discouraged and don't give up with that.
I do know that the last couple of years with the new processes put in place, I think there's a big improvement in the communication side as well. Sometimes it's difficult with the time zones and going right completely around the world and thousands upon thousands of members. Sometimes it's more difficult than some people may realize to get those communications out. And I do know there's a few people that may have comments, but well, I didn't hear back before. That was before, because I do know that the election committee and other committees are really doing a bang up job of communicating and improving those processes. I have somebody who's got a question here. If a member submits an application to run, not every applicant is going to be permitted to run. How does this process work with regards to the election?
Well, the first step is the nomination application. You download that, and that has the basic information: name, address, telephone number, how long you've been a member, you've served on committees, which ones, etc. That gets sent into our election coordinator. The election coordinator, takes a look at that and then goes down the checklist of, did you fill out the paperwork correctly? You'd be amazed at how many don't get done right. But then we also will go to the finance committee or the finance department and training, and also the board, and make sure that the member is in good standing. Make sure that that member has been an instructor member for the 3 years previous to the date of record. I believe this year is somewhere around October 5th. Don't quote me, but it's usually about the week before we open the ballots. So you need to have your 3 full years of being an instructor accomplished before that date. If you meet all that criteria, you will then be sent the nomination packet. So this packet will be where we're asking you for your bio sketch. We're asking you to answer the questions that the board puts out there for you. More information about your core skills, etc. This is your resume you're going to then send it to the election committee. It's also what's going to be partially what's be posted on the NAUI website for people to start to review your bio and your campaign strategies at work. If everything goes according to plan, and then the election committee then uses the vetting process, which is, again, is described in the election SOPs. We go down that vetting process to make sure there aren't things like a conflict of interest, you served on the committee, all that fun stuff there. If everything is good, this year we're adding a little bit of an interview process. So those that have put in their application at some point will also be contacted by one or more members of the election committee for just a fireside chit chat. Get to know you a little bit better, and also to make sure that you fully understand what you're wishing for, and also the roles and responsibilities moving forward. If everything is good there, we're going to be sending the list to the board. Now, what the election committee does is we make the recommended approved list and our reasons why. We also make the didn't quite cut the mustard list as well, but our reasons why there. And all that information is given to the board. The board can then make, they make the final decision. They could approve the list as the recommended list as we've sent it. They may amend it to remove someone that we recommend, or they may amend it to add someone that we didn't. Maybe there's some information that we didn't have access to that they do, and could add that person to the ballot. They'll then approve it, and that's what gets moved forward.
There's also something like a write-in candidate. If you qualify and if you have met all the standards and qualifications that a member should have to be able to run, anyone can actually run if they are a write-in candidate, whether they're on the official ballot or not. And I think that's something that people sometimes miss. So if you meet all the criteria and you are an active member for the last 3 years, you can write in and you can actually run as a write-in candidate. Just keep that in mind.
When a member does contact the committee chair and doesn't hear response, what would be their recourse? Like, how do they go from there as far as getting a response from somebody else?
If it was me, my deepest apologies, and please send again. But if I was a member and I did not hear from an election committee chair, your next step would be the board chair. In this case, Danny Brizard, and email him and say, hey, I've sent the election committee chair a number of emails, haven't heard a response. Can you help me out?
I believe is something that you definitely want to be follow up with, because getting responses to things is absolutely important to all of us. And I know at my level, I make sure everybody that emails me gets responded to, and I know Jeff does as well. So
at election@naui.org, we have our election committee, our election coordinator, all these ECs, monitors that, and I monitor it as well. And we work as a team to make sure that we don't miss anything, but something might still slip into our spam folder. Feel free to, again, shoot another email. My email address is jhine@naui.org for election-related stuff. And please feel free to track me down.
on average, how many members apply to run for the board and how many are selected?
Well, it varies. We've had as many as 22. We've had as few as 2 over the years. I'd say on the average, we get 5 or 6. That's about the number that you typically will see on the ballot, depending on how many openings. Like this year, we have 3 board member spots open. I'd really like to see at least 6 candidates for people to choose from, but we do not have a cap on the number of candidates on purpose, because if someone truly is qualified, we want them to be able to run. We are going to look at everyone with a fine-tooth comb and make sure that their heart's in the right place and that they really have the skill set to move NAUI forward in a professional level. We all have the passion, and that's why we're NAUI instructors to begin with. NAUI instructors took a harder path than anybody else out there. So we are a cut above the rest of the agencies out there. But do we really have that knowledge, to the business acumen, the temperament to be a good board member? And that's the job of the election committee, is to find that out for you.
I don't know if there's some closing comments that you guys would like to make before we wrap it up.
Bill, there are 2. One is about social media. Social media is a very powerful tool. It's also a lot of fun. But just bear in mind that it has its place. And if you have a question regarding something election related or headquarters related, NAUI related, it's best to find the right person at headquarters or in the committee or on the board to get that answer for you. By all means, we can share, communicate, via but when you look at things like the membership review or other earlier questions like who's in charge of what, all that's on core, so we can track that down. And also, NAUI has its own community forum, so we can have a little more private discussions. This year's election committee is simply one of the best that I've ever worked with. People you don't see today on our screen is MJ Hulshoff and Pat McLaughlin. Both they're younger, they've been incredible in terms of their contributions to the election committee. We couldn't function without them. And also, Tim just joined us this year. Been a great asset, great add to us. And Jim's been around for a number of years with us too. So just what an incredible committee. Thank you.
From my side, if I can make a closing comment, and I would talk to the members, all of the members of NAUI, and I hope this message goes to everyone. When you look at an applicant or someone running to be on the board of directors, try and find out and do your homework if that person is really the guy you want there. We had a question earlier, how do you know that someone performs really well after his 4-year term? I think step 1 is to really look at who you want there. And that's not some face on a ballot or pretty picture or someone who had the most social media posts. That's really going and doing your homework and do research on what has this person done for the organization, and get a feel and a vibe for their passion for NAUI, and then base your decision on more educated decision in terms of who this person really is. So go rate their Facebooks and look at the way they talk to people and the way they act and the way they are. Try and get kind of the personality and see if that is the person you want to represent you on the board of directors. That is my closing comment. Thank you so much.
Just a real quick thought. When you get to my age, you don't use the word passion too much. But if I am passionate about something, it's hoping the membership can refamiliarize, maybe even revive an understanding of an association of equals. This is a very, very rare and precious thing. If you have a problem and you don't think now he's going in the right direction, one person can make a difference. I think we've all seen how sometimes behind the scenes, the right person with the right idea and the right attitude gets involved and can help an organization move in a very positive direction. NAUI has gone through some amazing changes. It continues to be very, very fluid. So my encouragement would be to roll up your sleeves and get involved and find out if you can make a difference. And we have the future of NAUI in our hands. Our board is not appointed by a corporate entity. We are a true association of equals, and I think the heart of NAUI resides in that concept.
Very well stated. I know just the direction of NAUI, the fact that I'm here. I'm a Canadian. I work for NAUI, NAUI Services Group. I'm living in Canada, sitting in Canada. I'm right here in Canada. Truly, we're worldwide. I know where Hannah is. We already mentioned it. I know where Jeff is. You're at your shop. I've been there before, so I recognize it. He's on the northeast coast, Pennsylvania. It's just wonderful to have people from all over the globe. I'm dealing with Tommy over in Sweden right now on a project that he's working on, a spectacular one. I think he's really going somewhere with it. And it's just nice to have that all global feel of equals. And I think you use the word equals. I think that's the right word. Thank you. We're going to dismiss the panel. This is a great idea, and I'm really glad we took the opportunity today. And I applaud you guys. I appreciate that you guys have put on this great performance and answered some really good questions today. Thank you. So without further ado, bye for now.